Hello everyone, and welcome back to English Cubby. Today, we're learning English through an amazing book summary. I'm so excited to share this story with you. We're exploring one of the most famous adventure novels ever written, The Call of the Wild by Jack London, published in 1903. This is a powerful story about a dog named Buck, who goes from living a comfortable life in California to surviving in the harsh wilderness of Alaska during the gold rush. It's a story about survival, transformation, and discovering who you really are. Before we begin, let me share some key vocabulary you'll hear throughout this story. Domesticated, tamed, living with humans. Wilderness, wild, natural areas far from civilization. Instinct, natural behavior you're born with. Harsh, very difficult, severe. Master, owner, the person in control. Now, let's dive into Buck's incredible journey. Part 1. Buck's comfortable life. Our story begins in the Santa Clara Valley in California in the year 1897. Buck is a large, powerful dog, a mix of Street Bernard and Scottish Shepherd. He weighs 140 pounds and lives on Judge Miller's beautiful estate, a magnificent property with gardens, orchards, stables, and plenty of space to run and play. Buck is not just any dog. He is the undisputed king of his domain. He's strong, intelligent, confident, and dignified. The judge's sons take him on hunting trips in the mountains. His daughters walk with him through the gardens. The judge's grandsons ride on his back and pull his tail, and Buck tolerates it all with good-natured patience. He guards the estate at night and has never known a moment of fear or hunger. During the hot summer days, Buck lounges by the pool. In winter, he sits by the roaring fire in the library. He plays with the other dogs on the property, but everyone knows Buck is special. He's the favorite, the most trusted, the natural leader. Life is easy and comfortable. Buck has never known hunger, cold, or cruelty. He has never had to fight for survival. He is, in every sense, a gentleman's dog, civilized, refined, and content. But far away in the frozen north, something is happening that will change Buck's life forever. Vocabulary note. When we say Buck is the king of his domain, we mean he rules his territory. The estate is his kingdom. Gold has been discovered in the Klondike region of Alaska and the Yukon Territory in 1896. The news spreads like wildfire. Thousands of people from all over the world are rushing north, hoping to strike it rich. They face brutal conditions, freezing temperatures, dangerous terrain, and harsh winters. These gold seekers desperately need strong dogs to pull their sleds through the deep snow and across frozen rivers. Dogs like Buck, large, powerful, and hardy, are worth their weight in gold. One night, something terrible happens. Manuel, one of the gardener's helpers, has a serious gambling problem. He owes money to dangerous people. He looks at Buck and sees a solution to his problems, a way to pay off his debts quickly. When the judge and his family are away, Manuel calls Buck for a walk. Buck trusts Manuel and goes willingly. But instead of a pleasant evening stroll, Manuel takes Buck to a train station where a stranger is waiting. Money changes hands. A rope is tied around Buck's neck. For the first time in his life, Buck experiences betrayal. Buck is confused and then angry. He tries to attack the stranger, but the rope chokes him. He's thrown into a wooden crate, a cage. Buck has never been confined before. He throws himself against the bars, barking furiously, demanding to be released. But no one comes to help him. The judge doesn't know what has happened. Buck has simply disappeared. Part 2. The Journey North and the Law of Club and Fang. Buck's journey to the north is a nightmare. He's shipped by train, trapped in his cage for days. He's hungry, thirsty, and furious. No one feeds him properly or gives him water. The civilized, gentle Buck begins to change. Rage builds inside him. When the train finally stops in Seattle, a man in a red sweater opens the crate. Buck, half mad with fury and fear, launches himself at the man. This will be Buck's first real fight. He expects to win easily. He's large and powerful. But the man is ready. He has a club, and he knows how to use it. He beats Buck systematically, brutally. Buck keeps attacking, and the man keeps beating him down. Buck has never experienced pain like this. Eventually, exhausted and broken, Buck collapses. He's learned his first lesson in his new life, the law of club and fang. Vocabulary note: the law of club and fang means survival through violence and power. Either you dominate with a weapon like a club, or with your natural weapons like teeth and claws. The strongest survive. Buck learns something crucial in this moment. He must respect those who have power over him, but he doesn't have to love them. He becomes more cautious, more calculating. The innocent, trusting Buck from California is beginning to disappear. Over the next few days, Buck watches as other dogs arrive and are similarly beaten into submission. He sees that this is how things work now. Strength and violence rule everything. His comfortable, civilized world feels like a distant dream. Eventually, Buck is sold to two French-Canadian mail carriers named Perrault and Francois. These are experienced men who work for the Canadian government, delivering mail and dispatches across the frozen territories. They need strong, reliable sled dogs, and they immediately recognize Buck's potential. Buck is put on a ship called the Narwhal and taken north to Alaska. The journey is long and cold. When the ship finally docks at Daya Beach, Buck steps onto snow for the first time in his life. The cold bites through his thick fur. The wind howls around him. Everything is white and frozen. Here, Buck meets the other dogs in the team. There's Spitz, a large white dog from Spitsbergen who is the current lead dog. Spitz is experienced, clever, and mean. He immediately shows hostility toward Buck, sensing a rival. There's Dave, a serious dog who only cares about his work. There's Sol Lex, who has one eye and doesn't like to be approached on his blind side. There are other dogs too: Billy, Joe, Pike, and Dub. Buck must learn quickly. The other dogs teach him the rules through violence. He learns to sleep buried in the snow to stay warm. A shock the first time, but it works. He learns to eat fast because other dogs will steal his food. He learns that everything is a competition for survival. Important phrase: Buck's primitive instincts begin to awaken. The ancient, wild behaviors buried deep inside him start to emerge. His ancestors were wolves who survived in harsh conditions. That knowledge, that wildness, is still in his blood. It's waiting to come out. Part 3. Life on the Trail and the Rivalry with Spitz. Life on the trail is brutal and exhausting. The team runs day after day through the frozen wilderness. They pull heavy sleds loaded with mail and supplies. The temperatures drop to 30, 40, even 50 degrees below zero. The wind cuts like knives. The snow is deep and difficult to travel through. Buck is harnessed in the traces, the straps that connect him to the sled. At first, he doesn't understand what to do. But Dave and Sol Lex, the experienced dogs, teach him. If Buck makes a mistake, they bite him. If he tangles the traces, they attack him. Buck learns fast. Within days, he's pulling as well as the others. Perrault and Francois are impressed. They see that Buck is not just strong, but intelligent. He learns faster than any dog they've ever trained. His soft paws become tough and calloused. His muscles grow harder. The civilized fat melts away, revealing lean, powerful muscle underneath. But as Buck grows stronger and more confident, the tension between him and Spitz intensifies. Spitz is the leader of the pack, and he's not going to give up his position easily. He constantly bullies Buck, trying to provoke a fight. He steals Buck's food. He snaps at Buck during rest stops. He's waiting for Buck to challenge him. Buck is learning to be cunning. He doesn't rush into confrontation. He watches Spitz carefully, learning his tactics. He builds alliances with the other dogs. He waits for the right moment. The breaking point comes during a rabbit chase. The team is resting when a snowshoe rabbit appears. Instantly, every dog is alert. The chase is on. The whole pack, Buck, Spitz, Dave, Sol Lex, and all the others, rush after the terrified rabbit through the moonlit snow. It's chaos and excitement. Dogs are barking. Snow is flying. The rabbit zigzags through the trees, and the dogs follow. Buck is fast, faster than he ever knew he could be. The thrill of the hunt awakens something primal in him. This is what his ancestors did. This is what he was meant to do. Buck and Spitz reach the rabbit at the same moment. Their eyes meet over the terrified creature. In that instant, both dogs know. This is it. The rivalry ends now. One of them will be the leader, and one will submit or die. They forget about the rabbit. The fight begins. Vocabulary note: a showdown, a final confrontation that settles a conflict. Spitz is an experienced fighter. He's won many battles. He's quick, clever, and ruthless. He knows every dirty trick. He aims for Buck's throat, trying to end the fight quickly with a killing bite. But Buck has something Spitz doesn't expect: intelligence and strategy. Buck has been watching and learning. He feints, pretends to go for Spitz's throat, and when Spitz defends, Buck suddenly attacks his legs instead. It's a brilliant move. The fight is savage and brutal. They tear at each other with their fangs. Blood stains the white snow. The other dogs form a circle, watching silently. This is the way of the wild. The strong survive, the weak fall. Spitz has more experience, but Buck has more desire, more strength, and more cunning. Every time Spitz goes for Buck's throat, Buck breaks the attack and goes for Spitz's legs. Finally, Buck's strategy works. He breaks Spitz's front legs. Spitz stumbles and falls. The other dogs know what comes next. They rush in. In the wild, the pack always finishes off the weak. Buck doesn't watch. He walks away as the pack closes in on Spitz. The battle is over. Buck is the new leader. Important moment. Buck has fully embraced the law of club and fang. He's no longer the civilized pet from California. He's becoming something wild and fierce. Part 4. Buck as leader and new owners. The next morning, Francois discovers what happened. Spitz is gone. When he tries to put another dog in the lead position, Buck refuses to accept it. Buck fights for the lead position, and he wins it. Francois finally recognizes Buck as the new leader. And what a leader Buck proves to be. Under Buck's leadership, the team is transformed. Buck is fair but firm. He keeps discipline among the dogs. He sets a fast pace. He seems to have an instinct for finding the best trail, for sensing danger, for knowing when to rest and when to push forward. Francois and Perrault are amazed. The team breaks records for speed and distance. They deliver the mail faster than any other team. Francois often says, "Never there was such a dog as Buck." They travel from Skagway to Dawson, covering 400 miles in record time. Buck loves his new role. He's in his element. Every day is a challenge, and he meets it with strength and intelligence. He settles fights between other dogs with quick, decisive action. He drives lazy dogs to work harder. He protects the weaker dogs from the stronger ones. He's not just strong, he's a natural leader. But this golden period doesn't last. After delivering the last mail of the season, Francois and Perrault receive new orders. They must travel to another territory. The dog team is sold to a new owner who carries dispatches for the Yukon government. The new owner works the dogs even harder. They travel even longer distances with less rest. Buck and his team make round trips between Dawson and Skagway again and again. The work is exhausting. They travel 1,800 miles in a single stretch. The dogs are getting worn out, their paws are bleeding, they're losing weight. When they finally get a rest, they're immediately sold again, and this time, Buck's luck runs out completely. The new owners are 3 inexperienced Americans, a man named Hal, his wife Mercedes, and her brother Charles. They've come north dreaming of gold and adventure, but they know absolutely nothing about survival in the wilderness or how to handle sled dogs. The first sign of trouble is how they load the sled. They bring way too much unnecessary stuff: camping gear, pots and pans, dishes, a tent, extra clothes. The sled is overloaded. The team can barely move the heavy sled. Hal starts beating the dogs to make them go faster. Mercedes constantly stops the team to check on her favorite dogs, disrupting the work. Charles is lazy and complains constantly. They brought too much food for themselves, but didn't calculate enough food for the dogs. Within weeks, the dogs are starving. They're given half rations, then quarter rations. The dogs grow weak and thin. One by one, the dogs begin to die. First, the weaker ones like Dub collapse and can't get up again. Hal simply shoots them and leaves them by the trail. Then Billy dies, then Joe, then Pike. The team that started with 14 dogs is reduced to just 5 exhausted, starving survivors. Buck is barely alive. His ribs are showing through his matted fur. His beautiful coat is dull and patchy. His feet are cracked and bleeding. He's lost more than 30 pounds. But his eyes still show intelligence and determination. He refuses to give up. Part 5. John Thornton saves Buck. By the time they reach the White River, it's early spring. The ice on the rivers is starting to melt. Any experienced traveler knows this is the most dangerous time. The ice looks solid but is actually thin and weak. It can break at any moment. When they arrive at a camp, several experienced prospectors warn them, "Don't cross that river. The ice is rotten. It won't hold. Wait a few days for the ferry." But Hal is stubborn and arrogant. "We've come this far. We're not stopping now. Those people are just trying to scare us." They harness the dogs and prepare to cross. But Buck simply lies down and refuses to get up. He's reached his absolute limit. More than that, his instincts are screaming at him that crossing the ice means death. Buck has decided, if he's going to die, it will be here, not on that dangerous ice. Key phrase: Buck sensed disaster. His primitive instincts told him something terrible was about to happen. Hal starts beating Buck with a club, screaming at him to get up. Buck doesn't move. He's prepared to die rather than obey. Mercedes is crying. Charles is yelling. Buck closes his eyes and waits for death. Suddenly, a man's voice cuts through the chaos. "If you hit that dog one more time, I'll kill you." The voice belongs to John Thornton, a prospector who's been camping nearby. He's been watching this whole scene with growing anger. He's a rugged, experienced man who loves dogs and can't stand cruelty. Hal threatens Thornton, but Thornton is bigger and clearly more dangerous. "That dog is mine," Hal protests. "Not anymore," Thornton says. He cuts Buck free from the harness with his knife. "He's staying with me. Now get out of here before I change my mind about letting you go." Hal, Mercedes, and Charles are furious, but they're also afraid of Thornton. They harness the remaining dogs and continue onto the ice. Buck and Thornton watch them go. The sled gets about 100 yards onto the river. Then they hear it. A sharp crack like a gunshot. The ice breaks. The entire sled, people, dogs, and all their supplies plunges through the ice into the freezing water. Within seconds, they've disappeared beneath the surface. The river swallows them completely. Buck's instinct saved his life. John Thornton kneels beside Buck, gently examining his injuries. "Easy, boy," he says softly. "You're safe now. I'm going to take care of you." For the first time since being stolen from Judge Miller's estate, someone speaks to Buck with genuine kindness and love. Part 6. Buck and Thornton's Bond. Over the following weeks, Thornton nurses Buck back to health with incredible patience and care. He bathes Buck's wounds, he feeds him small amounts of food, gradually building up his strength. He lets Buck rest as much as he needs. He talks to Buck constantly in a gentle, affectionate voice. This is a new experience for Buck. The other owners treated him as a tool, a working animal. Thornton treats Buck as a friend, a partner, an equal. He never beats Buck. He never forces Buck to do anything. He simply offers love and respect. Buck responds with a devotion unlike anything he's ever felt before. His love for Judge Miller was the affection of a pet for a kind owner. His love for John Thornton is something deeper. It's absolute loyalty, fierce devotion, complete trust. As Buck regains his health, his body transforms. The hard muscle returns. His coat grows thick and glossy again. His eyes shine with intelligence and life. He becomes powerful and magnificent. Buck would do literally anything for Thornton. He proves this one day when Thornton is joking with friends. "Buck," Thornton says playfully, "jump off that cliff." Without hesitation, Buck turns toward the cliff and starts to jump. Thornton has to tackle Buck to stop him, holding him back from the edge. Thornton is shaken, realizing the terrifying depth of Buck's devotion. "Never again," Thornton whispers, hugging Buck. "I'll never ask you to do anything like that again." Another time, Thornton falls into dangerous rapids. Buck immediately plunges in after him, fighting against the powerful current. 3 times Buck tries to reach Thornton, and 3 times the current sweeps him away. On the 4th attempt, Buck manages to grab Thornton's arm with his teeth and pull him to shore. Both of them nearly drown, but Buck saves Thornton's life. The most famous demonstration of Buck's love comes in a bar in Dawson. A man named Matthewson brags that his dog can pull 1,000 pounds on a sled. Thornton, after a few drinks, brags that Buck can pull more. "I'll bet you $1,000, Matthewson says. "Wait, you don't have $1,000. Let's bet your claim instead." It's a foolish bet. Thornton owns a gold claim that could make him rich, and 1,000 pounds is an enormous weight, too much for any dog. But Thornton has faith in Buck. The whole town gathers to watch. The sled is loaded with 20 bags of flour, 50 pounds each, exactly 1,000 pounds, plus the weight of the sled itself. It seems impossible. Buck is harnessed to the sled. Thornton kneels beside him. "As you love me, Buck. As you love me." Buck understands. This is for Thornton. He leans into the harness with everything he has. His muscles bulge. His claws dig into the ice. The crowd holds its breath. For a long moment, nothing happens. The sled doesn't move. It seems impossible. Then, the sled moves. Just an inch, then another. Buck is pulling with superhuman or supercanine strength. Slowly, impossibly, the sled starts to slide forward. Buck pulls it 100 yards, the required distance. The crowd explodes in cheers. Thornton wins $1,600, enough to fund a long expedition into the wilderness. But more importantly, Buck has proven his love. Vocabulary note: devotion, love, loyalty, and dedication to someone or something. With the money, Thornton and his partners, Hans and Pete, decide to go deep into the wilderness. They're searching for a legendary lost gold mine. They travel east into the unknown, far from any settlements, into ancient forests where few humans have ever been. This is where Buck's final transformation begins. Part 7. The Call of the Wild. In this remote wilderness, surrounded by ancient forests and pristine nature, Buck feels something stirring deep inside him. It's as if the land itself is speaking to him, calling to him. At night, Buck hears wolves howling in the distance. The sound makes his blood sing. He feels an overwhelming urge to answer that call, to join them. Sometimes he disappears into the forest for hours, drawn by an instinct he doesn't fully understand. One day, Buck meets a timber wolf face to face. They circle each other cautiously. The wolf is wary but curious. Buck is excited. He wants to be friends, to run with the wolf. Eventually, they touch noses, a sign of acceptance. They run together through the forest, and Buck feels more alive than ever before. But he always returns to Thornton. His love for this one human is the last thread connecting him to civilization. Buck starts disappearing for longer periods, days at a time. He learns to hunt completely wild. He tracks and kills rabbits, squirrels, and birds. One time, he even tracks and kills a large bull moose, an incredible feat that takes 4 days of patient stalking. Important phrase: Buck is becoming wild, returning to his primitive, natural state. During one of these hunting trips, Buck is gone for several days. When he finally starts heading back to camp, something feels wrong. The forest is too quiet. The birds aren't singing. As Buck gets closer, he smells blood, a lot of blood. He starts running. When he reaches the camp, he finds a scene of horror. The camp has been attacked by Yihat Indians. Thornton's partners, Hans and Pete, are dead. And there, beside the river, Buck finds John Thornton's body, pierced by arrows. Something breaks inside Buck in that moment. A howl tears from his throat, a sound of rage and grief combined. The last connection to his civilized life is severed. There's nothing holding him back anymore. The Yihats are still in the camp, celebrating their victory. Buck attacks with savage fury. He's no longer a civilized dog. He's a wild beast, powerful and deadly. He kills several of the warriors before the rest flee in terror, screaming about an evil spirit a devil dog. Buck stands over Thornton's body and mourns. He howls his grief to the sky. Then, with nothing left to hold him to the human world, Buck turns toward the forest. He finds the wolf pack. The timber wolf he'd met before is there, along with many others. They're wary of him at first, but Buck fights the strongest wolves and wins. He proves himself worthy. The pack accepts him as one of their own. And more than that, Buck becomes their leader. He's larger, stronger, smarter, and more cunning than any natural wolf. Under his leadership, the pack thrives. Part 8. The Legend of the Ghost Dog. The Yehats begin to tell stories about a ghost dog that runs with the wolves. They say this creature is larger than any wolf, more fierce than a bear, more cunning than a fox. They say it's the evil spirit of the wilderness, taking revenge. They notice that certain wolf packs become bolder and more successful. They track these packs and notice one wolf who's clearly different, larger, with brownish fur instead of gray, with a trace of white on his chest and muzzle. They know it's Buck, but to them, he's no longer a dog. He's something else, something wild and free. Every year, when summer comes, Buck does something unusual. He leaves his pack and travels alone to a certain valley. He goes to the place where John Thornton died. There, Buck sits alone, thinking of the man who saved him and loved him. He howls his grief and his love to the sky. Then he returns to his pack, to his wild life, to his true nature. The Call of the Wild is more than just an adventure story about a dog. It's a profound meditation on what it means to be alive, to be free, to be true to yourself. Buck's journey from a California estate to the Alaskan wilderness mirrors a spiritual journey we all might take, from comfort and safety toward challenge and authenticity. Jack London asks us to consider, what calls to us? What instincts have we buried under layers of civilization? What would we become if all the rules and structures of society were stripped away? Buck discovers that beneath his civilized exterior, he was always meant to run wild. The wild was calling to him all along. He just needed to be brave enough to answer. Thank you so much for watching English Cubby. I hope you enjoyed The Call of the Wild and learned some new English vocabulary along the way. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more classic stories that will help you improve your English. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you answer the call of the wild if it came to you? Or would you choose to stay in civilization? What do you think Buck's story teaches us about ourselves? Leave your answers in the comments below. Next time, we'll explore another amazing classic story. Keep learning, keep reading, and keep growing. See you in the next adventure.